Hey, good morning, it's Guido. Guess what time it is? 6:28. That's a dad joke. I got a new mug. French roast is actually an old mug. Got it from the office. It is time for Coffee Talk, where we talk about tanks on Sunday and have a bit of coffee. Let's see, what are we going to talk about today? Channel news, missions and specials, as always, in the subjects du jour. I'm going to talk a bit about the Wheeled Tank Marathon that is going on right now. A couple thoughts on that. Some thoughts on directives as well, but let's get into the channel news and move on. Grab your coffee. Did I say I have a nice French roast? I'm not sure, but I do. It's nice. Let's get started. Did I just go, I think I did. I think I did. Channel news. Hey, that plant's looking rough, isn't it? So I got that. My mom sent it. It's little bulbs at Christmas, and then it turned into these massively awesome flowers. I didn't know what they were. I just did the directions. Okay, it did its thing. Amaryllis, I believe. I just looked it up. So I need to cut off the stalks in the flower, leave the bulbs, keep feeding them, watering them. They'll grow a little bit of leaves, and then next year apparently they'll do the same thing. So anyway, that's the sad plant. I know it's falling all over the place. Okay, man. The stream is doing well. I streamed a bit this week. The channel's up to 1,100 and some change subscribers. Fantastic. Thanks, guys. Appreciate everybody. My 100 Battles Challenge update is on hold because I've been doing the EBR 90 or grinding through the EBR and doing the wheeled marathon while doing that. We'll talk about that a little bit when we get there. I'll give you an update on that in the subjects du jour. For the scavenger hunt, I will be coming up one more time, probably fairly soon. I cannot divulge when, otherwise I will be in trouble. So look out for that, but keep collecting the codes on that thing. It's coming towards the end. I want to say it ends around the 28th or so. It is February, and there's only 28 days in February, right? Isn't that the thing about February? I believe so. Wheeled marathon update. I am in the middle of that. Like I said, we'll talk about that later. And you're probably wondering what's the deal with the M41 Delta winner. And I will tell you, I did the video on the 1000 update and then announcing the contest for the M41 Delta, which was put your best website, streamer, YouTuber, the place, your go-to place, your best places for getting information from World of Tanks. And it's got 400 something responses. So not 400 responses, it got 400 something views, which is good for me especially, but it's probably got 100, maybe a few more than 100 responses, and that's just people who responded, and some of them have multiple. There's quite a few new ones on there, so what I want to do is collate that stuff and then announce a winner and talk about that and get some of that information out on some of these people. It's a lot of the usual suspects, which is great because they're all good sites, but I think there's some new people in there, and for everybody, there's probably people that you haven't heard of. Expect that maybe later today or Monday, maybe as late as Tuesday, but I will announce the winner of the M41 Delta within the next 2 or 3 days. So apologize I didn't get to it today, but I wanted to do it justice because there's a lot of great information in there. So let's move on to the missions and specials. Let's get our shill on. All right, I had to go get another cup. I was just about out. All right, I'm gonna stop doing that. Here we go. We are in the premium shop because it is time to shill. This is how I make all my money with World of Tanks. Every time I mention a certain tank, I get $1. That'd be good, actually. That would work out. I may have to send that to Domo. Every time I mention a tank, but then every time someone who actually had a lot of followers, it costs them more. So maybe I'm more like a 1 cent guy. Oh, self-depreciating humor. Okay. Here we go. When does it turn into false modesty? I don't know. I have no idea. Somewhere around 10,000 viewers. Hey, let's get there. Hey, I told you we're getting our shill on right here. I can shill for myself, all right? Here we go. Did I mention I built a fence yesterday? I'm old and my back hurts, man. That's for young people. I'll have to show you a picture later. Let's talk about tanks, huh? Let's talk about tanks. What is going on? Oh, what I wanted to say before I got started with all that and rambled off into the bushes out in left field is that with all the new people coming on board, there's some great discussions going on over on YouTube in the comments. For example, and I'm learning stuff as well, or learning things that I should be kind of paying attention to, but somebody mentioned it was a medium tank gameplay, I think a 121B with an innocent bystander, and I was talking about counting noses on the minimap. So just counting what is spotted and going, all right, there's 2 unspotted. Where would they likely be? What kind of tanks are they? Where would they be? And that helps you kind of create and understand the flow of the battle, where you can go, where you can't go, and how aggressive or inaggressive, whatever, excuse me, you can be. So somebody wrote back and said, I hear you say that a lot. I've actually incorporated that in my game, and it's helped me. I'm like, okay, that's what we're doing. That's what we're trying to do. And on the flip side, I was mentioning in the video about how I was surprised that I think it was a super Pershing didn't see our hero as he drove by. And it seemed like he was pretty close. And the response from, I think, one of the new subscribers was, well, that super Pershing was stunned. That's probably why he didn't see him. And I went, you know what, that's a good one. So there's another little piece for your SA kit bag. Obviously, when people are stunned, their view is lower because they're stunned, and everything is lower on the crew. Those are just 2 specific examples of a lot of kind of great conversation on the YouTube channel talking about it. You know, if I make a video and say something, it's not always right. In fact, I get caught out a lot, and people saying, well, no, actually, it's X, Y, or Z. And I say, you know what, you're right. Absolutely, thank you. Sometimes it's a misspeak. Sometimes it's something I don't know. So there you go. Wow, we really got off on a tangent there. Let's get back to shilling. I'm supposed to make my 1 cent per tank. Featured tanks, the M41 is now for sale to everybody. Looks like only 22 hours, so if you're going to pull the trigger on that one, you better do it soon. This Spearhead hardcover deal gets you a book and 2 tanks. The deal with that is, and we'll talk about it later, but there's also a mission for it, is they will send you an email with a link, and I think it's through Amazon, and then you will get the book. Anecdotally, there are people on the forum saying they're having problems with that. Didn't get the email, things like that. Check your spam folder, all the standard stuff with email applies. Panhard is out there. I believe this has a 0 skill crew. Bunch of other stuff. The Suma is back out. 22 hours, so if you're going to pull a trigger, you got a day or less than a day. And some of the other usual suspects in there as well. When we go up to the gold, I don't think there's anything really going on gold-wise. This quick starter kit is, I've mentioned it a lot. It's, if you're brand new to the game or you haven't spent any money on it, for $5 you can kind of get a taste of the different things that are in the game. You got some gold, you got some premium. There you go. You know, the first hit is free, right? Premium account, we come over here. So I'm going to whine about this again, and my regular viewers have heard me go off and on it a lot. But here we go. Once again, the 30 days in an L60 is in premium account. The deal with this one in particular, and you've got to watch for this, is that this is a premium days item with an extra tank tacked on, even though, well, it says 30 days in an L60. And when you click on it, what it says down here is, if you own the tank, you will not be reimbursed for the tank. So you will not get the gold value, which is the standard for everything else but this one, and any other things like this. So make sure you check the description down at the bottom, the details, all right? Otherwise, you've got the 30 days. Again, this is another kind of good deal here, you know, really shilling for the company, but come on. For $10, for 30 days, you can kind of get a taste of what premium does if that's what you want to do. Coming over here to vehicles, and oh, here's this guy again. Well, is he a premium day or is he a vehicle? Come on, Wargaming, you're killing me with this. All right, that's enough of that. I'll whine no more about that. Till next week. That really is a nice coffee, actually. I like the French roast. I usually just get the dark or medium, but French roast is nice. Thunderbolt is out there. Pretty cool. Decent tank. I really like the M41. It's good. Primo Victoria. I like the 5.1. I don't have this, so I couldn't tell you. I've played this one on the Sheriff account a couple times. Pretty darn good tank at tier 8. There's the Panhard, a fun tank. Now, here's the thing with that. I have a review on the Panhard out, but it's the old stats, and I probably need to break that down for you later on. I don't know what they've changed. I didn't pay too close attention to it because I wasn't planning on playing it in the near future because I'm grinding the line on the tech tree side. But that, take a look at that before you pull the trigger. If you're going purely off my review may have some wrong numbers on it. Let's put it that way. I wish they hadn't done it that way, but they released it for us to test for that purpose so they could see what needed to be changed, and they changed some things. I think mostly it got better, as I recall. Mostly it got better. But don't go off that either. Make sure you do your due diligence, and I know I'm not helping you right here, but you're on your own, kid. Man, that's really good. It's a nice, it's raining outside too. That's what's making this great for me right now. I can hear the rain coming down. I have my new roof. In theory, it's not leaking up there. I should probably check it for the next couple months to make sure they've got it all sorted out. So I just hear the rain coming down. The weird thing is, let's go off on another tangent. The weird thing is I can hear it on my windows. There used to be a bunch of trees back there. And then Michael came through with about 150 mile an hour winds and knocked every tree in my yard over. Most of them into my neighbor's yard, thankfully not onto their house, just based on the way our houses are sitting. And now, because all the weather comes from the west in general around here, we've got a line coming through, and since that's the west-facing wall, I hear the rain on the window, which I never really heard before. If it was a really hard rainstorm, sometimes I'd get a couple dinks on the window, but now it's just right. That's an onomatopoeia. I say that because my wife reminds me constantly. She's a 4th grade teacher, and they always talk about those kinds of things in language. Where were we? Oh, right, we were showing. We're on to the specials, because the specials are different than featured. I don't know. Someone explained it to me. It made sense, but it really doesn't. Anyway, I think these are like the new, hey man, these are like the new ones, man, and these are like the old ones. My daughter has more likes per minute, second really, than any human being in existence. Every second word is like. Today is a random tangent day. We've had a couple of these on Coffee Talks, but today I can feel it. It's here. It is random tangent day. There's the hardcover thing again. I don't think there's anything else big in here. Realize this is the big package. It's annoying. I'm with you, man. It is. But this is all the stuff that you would get during the marathon included. I am currently at $42.50 because of my bonus, minus 40%, because I have completed 4 stages, which we'll get to later, but that's how that works. Realize that it's off a big package, so to speak, because during each stage you get a bunch of goodies, which makes the stage stuff interesting, but makes the package more expensive. In theory, I have no inside information on this. I suspect it's true. It will be sold just as the tank after the marathon. So don't go crazy. Don't put the pitchfork down. Yes, you can't get it right now without buying a big package, so to speak. Things you wish you hadn't said, but it will be there. I bet. Okay. If it doesn't, then you can tell Guido he's an idiot, and well, you tell me that anyway, but with a reason, actually. I mean, really, has there ever been a marathon in a tank that they didn't then release after the marathon to make more money? I mean, come on. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Although it hasn't happened with the Type 59 yet, has it? They just use that for bait for, oh, did I bring up loot boxes? Is everybody up in a again? He said loot box. Ah. Man, I told you it's random. Today is random. All right, that is the shilling. We're done with that. Let's move on to the missions and specials. All right, like I said, we'll cover the wheeled challenge on wheels is what it's called later on. But right now we'll hit up the missions. The tournament missions are still going. Nothing big there. It's kind of a quiet weekend. Got the two tank masteries. Is it still 2? Oh, did they knock it down to 1? Hallelujah! Did they really? Okay, good. It was always weird, wasn't it? There were 2 sets of tank mastery. Is that actually true? Have they got rid of it? They have, and they were overlapped weirdly. What was the point of that? I didn't. It seemed like just extra work for no reason. I don't know. I like them. They're cool. You get an ace in that, and you get a little emblem and some whatever. Okay, and you get a personal reserve, perfect. But it was weird. It just, the timing was weird. Good, they fixed that, or at least they forgot to put the other one in. I don't know. Supply rate. This is the standard one that is there on a weekend that nothing else is going on, and it's broken down by tiers. In case you didn't know that, I didn't actually realize that until fairly recently, when I saw on my results, little results card came up and it said, "Hey, you got something for the tier 8 to 10 challenge." I did. Oh, goody. What the heck is that? It's supply rate. Never mind that it can't be called supply rate tier 8 to 10 challenge. Don't ask me. On track to the 13,105. When I first saw that, I said, "Oh wow, the wheeled challenge, and they have an on track for the wheeled vehicle." No, everyone's grinding it anyway. So they put the other French light tank line on track. Good coffee. Seriously, what? Okay. Anyway. Strange. Player tank class right. This has been going on and on. This seems to be a rather permanent set of missions, and I like it. It's cool because it gets you 10,000 experience if you knock it out. So if you're grinding something, whether it be a light, TD, heavy, or medium, you're good. Guess what's not there? I'm kind of surprised we haven't heard from the SPG players about how SPGs aren't on this. Play all your tank classes right, but whatever you do, do not play your do not play your SPG class right. Play it wrong. I'm just kidding. I love you, my SPG brothers. Spearhead. Here it is. I think I already mentioned it. When I first saw this, I did it on stream. I was digging around the missions for some reason. I think I was looking for the challenge thing I was talking about earlier. I didn't know what it was, and I figured it out. And I saw this. Spearhead. And I went, oh, wow. And I do 500 battles, and I'm in the top 10, and I get 3 cases of cola. And I went, what? That's strange. That's a weird prize for 500 battles. Okay, it's the book. Now, why? Oh, why? Why is it that not mentioned here? Why is there not a link here to the story on the portal about the book? Or some information about a book in an email, or some indication that this is more than just 3 cases of cola? I don't get that. Why? It's strange. It really is. I think you can put a link here. They do that in the UI all the time now. You can, if you, by golly, if you want to buy something, buddy, you can go to the store and click on it. It'll come over to, it'll open up the web page and take your money. But they can't do it here. I don't know. And well, see, here's the thing. I'm kind of going off on that, and but I do that from time to time because I think it is kind of important. Because you take the whole picture into account. If you look at the forum, there are a bunch of threads in there about people freaking out about this spearhead thing. Oh, it's silly. Oh, it's dumb. I did the same thing on stream. I went, well, that's kind of a silly mission. But there was a lot more to it. There's a cool book involved. That's cool. I mean, why is it not there? What are you doing? So you got people garbaging up the forum. You got people getting irritated for no reason. There's no information here about what's going on. Oh, by the way, why is it 3 cola? It's 500 games. It could be 20 cola and it just wouldn't matter. But it would look cooler than 3. It's like, it's just a self-inflicted gunshot into the foot. It really is, man. Is it a huge big deal and oh, let's quit the game and blah? No. But it's just one of those many little things that didn't really have to happen. Now, it's a big organization. Everyone's got to think about a lot of stuff. And, they probably just threw this over to the UI guys and said, hey, put this in the missions thing. And maybe there wasn't enough thought into it. Maybe there wasn't enough information. Maybe it's just technically difficult to do a link. I don't think so. But maybe. I'll give it that. Potentially. Anyway, moving on. I told you it was random, whatever I'm trying to say. Now my ability to say random thought process thing is gone too. Oh man, where are we? Let's find out where we are and move on. Hurry, please, for the love of. Let's move on. Yes, subject du jour. Here we go. All right, number one, numero uno, is the Scorpion G. In case you did not know this, you can get an unskinned Scorpion G, and that has kind of thrown me off in game a couple times because when you see Scorpion and you see that it's tan colored, you pretty much immediately know that it's one of the Scorpion Gs, or it says Scorpion G, which is it's a real tip off right there. But now it just says Scorpion, which is a lot like the word scorpion for the American one, except with a K. So a couple times I've gone to the merge with one of these thinking it was one of the little American scorpions, and it wasn't. It was one of these things. So watch out for that. Now you can put your own camo on it. Unfortunately, as I was looking for my 50% discount, and because I do this on Sunday and not on Friday, oftentimes, it's over. It's over. February 22nd. You missed out. I hope you did it if you wanted to. What that was is you got a 50% discount if you already owned the G and you could buy the regular one, at which point I go, why would you do that? I'll tell you why. Because if you win it as a prize later on, you get the gold if you own both. But do you really want to spend another, whatever it was, 30 bucks or 25 bucks on the same tank you already have? If you're a collector, maybe you want both. I have both the 252U and the Defender because one of them I think I bought and the other one I won. There you go. But it doesn't matter, does it? Because you can't do it right now. But what you can do until the 25th, which is tomorrow, by the way, so you better do it today if you want to, is trade in your old skinned Scorpion G. Is it a G? Whatever it is. Scorpion G? Wait a minute. Yes. Random brain synapse firing. Scorpion G for a unskinned Scorpion. The details are here, but it amounts to sending in a ticket, and then I'll swap it out. All right, there you go. All right, challenge on wheels. Here it is. We're going to talk about how I've done so far, and pretty much exclusively, except for maybe one or two battles, I have done it with the EBR 90, which is the tier 9 that I'm grinding through. I finished it up. I'm done with the links. I'm on the tier 9, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit later on as well because that tank is unbelievable. But let's see about where I have been or what I have done so far. So I am currently at, we have to look at the battles here. I started at 78,600, and I am now at 673. So 73 battles that I have played, and I am done with stage 4. No, I'm on stage 4. No. Roman numerals are hard. I am done with stage 4. I am on stage 5. So I tripped stage 4 and I stopped last night. So what had happened here? Let's see. For stage 1, I actually finished it with the destroy 3 and do 3,000 with the EBR 90. So you can see that I did not need the 3,000 experience. I actually did it before. So I did that a little faster than I otherwise would have done. Because I was able to use a tier 9 and or 10. I happen to be using a 9 because that's the one I'm grinding right now. To get the what I'm calling the faster but harder version over here, right? For the one for the good players, or you have some good games. Good news is if you're playing a 9 or 10, you're doing both at the same time, or you're eligible to do this in any event. I don't know how many battles that took, but if I look at the experience and consider my average experience, probably 3 or 4, and more than likely I would have tripped it in one more battle with a win. So 3 or 4 battles right there. You can see that on this one, it took me 7 wins. I don't know how many battles that was. I did this stage 2 4 times, which was earn at least 800 base experience. I did that 4 of the 5, but I tripped this one first with 7 wins. Top 10, I believe. I want to say that was about 10 battles or so, but I know I was on a good streak when I knocked that one out. Remember, I'm only at 73 battles. So come over here, and for stage 3, I didn't come anywhere near 3,500. I did that once in the amount of time it took me to get 15,000 experience, which was probably 15 to 20 battles, something like that. Probably more, not 15 because I wasn't averaging 1,000 by any means. So it was probably more like 20, 25 battles, somewhere in there. More than likely knocked that out. So that was a good chunk of the battles that it took me to do that one for stage 3. Stage 4 was interesting. I did it in at least 8 battles because I was able to get 950 and 8, but looks like at least 19, but that's a win, so probably another 25 or so, and that's roughly correct for about 73 battles if you just add those together, give or take. I didn't really track the specific battles in each stage, but you can see kind of what it takes. But I did save myself some time right here because I would have needed another 6 wins if I had not tripped the 8 for 8 of 950 experience. I was really rolling in that EBR, I think yesterday morning, and I knocked this thing out in one morning. I was winning nearly everything. I was really playing well, and it was playing well, and my teams were good, blah, blah, blah. So that is where I am. I'm at that 40% discount that we talked about a little bit earlier. Now let's talk about the marathon itself, because there's a lot of angst out there, a lot of reaction videos, things like that. I did put a video out and I talked about what it would take, and I did note that it looks like they're ratcheting up the requirements, and I did talk about what the reasons I thought they might be doing that. And it's got a little silly with some of the reactions, to be quite honest. And the forum's full of stuff about I'm not doing it, I'm not even bothering, yada yada. To which my response is, well, you don't have to bother. You just play tier 6 and above, and you're gonna get some of these things as you go naturally. And if you get to the end of the challenge on the 7th of March and you look down and you go, oh, I got an 80% discount, and that 80% discount makes the package appealing to you, then you buy it. And if it's not appealing to you, then you don't buy it. And you happen to have got some of the goodies along the way. Granted, you don't have the tank. Wargaming, to some extent, is a victim of their own success with the marathons. They're very popular. The early ones were fairly easy. They were super grindy, but you could do it. They've all been super grindy. That's the purpose of the marathon. That's why it's called a marathon and not a sprint. And they have slowly, they probably had 4 or 5 of these that were about the same thing. They were big experience or damage farming exercises, as I recall. I don't know if there was damage, but I know it was experience. In fact, I think some of the first ones were, as I recall, some of the first ones even allowed your premium time to count. Is that right? I think that happened really early, and so they ratcheted it down. Then it was just your pure experience, whatever the word is I'm looking for right there. Base, thank you, base experience. And then this one is a bit different because it's got different kind of requirements. But really, at the end of the day, it boils down to just playing the game. So people got used to the marathons being relatively easy but doable. And now that they are a little bit beyond even some of the more grindy players' capability, maybe, there's a lot of angst. But I don't get it, because you're just playing the game. You don't have to do anything special to do this marathon. And at some point, you're going to get a discount. Now, if it kept getting harder and harder to where you could only get to stage 4 or 3 or 5, even as a kind of grinding player, then maybe we start to have a bit of an argument right there. But right now, as I look at it, it's really not that much different than the one before. And at the end of the day, if what they're offering you isn't worth your money, then don't spend your money. I mean, I don't know how to make it any clearer than that, to be quite honest. That's my opinion, obviously. But getting all bent about it, I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below. You know, do you think they're making a mistake by making it a little more difficult? Are they actually driving players off? That's the argument, right? Oh, they're greedy. They don't care about their players. I'm quitting. You know, they're driving their players off. Potentially, at some point, as you ratchet up this thing and you advertise, hey, you can get a free tank, and then it's completely impossible for everybody but a select few, or maybe by completely cheating, T22 owners, then yeah, definitely an argument right there. But I don't see that in this case, in my opinion anyway. Yes, it's a little bit harder. No, it's not impossible. And if you don't like the amount of discount you got, then you don't buy it. You know what I mean? You don't buy it. All right, let's move on to the wheeled vehicles themselves. Okay, wheeled vehicles. About halfway through that, so we're getting towards the end. Let's talk a little bit about the wheeled vehicles. And I've got my stats called up here for the EBR 90 that I've been playing. and starting to get into the swing of this thing. This is a really good tier 9 scout, and it actually is a good scout. And we'll talk a little bit about the reasons for that. Well, let's just start it right now. We'll talk about it right now. The reason is that the mobility on this thing is basically unprecedented. I've talked about this a little bit already. I'm gonna cover it when I do the review of this tank. The tier 6 through 8 wheeled vehicles are fast, especially at tier. But the speed is not something you haven't seen, because some of the tier 9 and 10 lights are about as fast, if not as fast as those. The EBR premium is a little bit like the 9 here in the case of what I'm going to talk about. But the 9 and 10 are an unprecedented speed, a speed that people aren't used to dealing with in World of Tanks. So their internal clocks are different. The time it takes to appear somebody somewhere is different. It's faster. You can take people by surprise. You can sneak through areas that otherwise you wouldn't be able to because of the speed of the thing. And it's very stealthy as well, which helps. You can show up unannounced in a lot of places. You can get to parts of the map and use parts of the map that are unusable to any other tank because of the speed and the likelihood of people missing. That may change a bit as we go and people get used to shooting it, so I'm willing to admit that that's a possibility right there as well. But right now, the speed and mobility of this thing is a game changer in certain games. Is it dominating and destroying the game? That's not my point at all. But if you're a good player, you can really leverage that. And as you can see, for a tier 9 tank, and these are all solo, 108 battles, again, a fairly low sample size, but getting to something significant. 62% win rate, 959 average XP. I am running a 62% win rate with only a 27.78% battles survived. 1,401, and this is the most interesting one to me. That's why I'm calling it a scout, even though some people won't. 1,200 assist, which is double to 400 more than the rest of my tier 9 scouts. And I'm a pretty good scout player, pretty good light tank player. Where is that coming from? Two places. Number one, the early ability to get to spots and get people lit and shot early. And the late game ability, if you're still alive, reference the 27%, I should be alive more than I am, ability to get in there and get all the campers lit. This is a camper lighting dream. I have 11 Pascucci's medals in 108 battles. 11. And that's not even counting the times I get in and artillery shoots the TD or the SPG, specifically SPG in the case of this medal right here, or one of your other players who's followed you up gets them. 11. The closest I have in any other tier 9 is 4 or 5. And you're talking tanks with 200, 400, 500, 600 battles in some cases. 11. That's 10% of my battles I end up getting at Pascucci's. And of course, there's a lot of battles where there's only one or no SPGs to even go after. This thing can disrupt. It can get up under the campers. It can light them up. And even though its view range isn't great, the speed allows it to get close enough that it doesn't matter. I'm starting to get a little verklempt there. I had to get a drink. Say it with me. So the jury's out. I'm not going to come down on one side or the other. I am leaning, though, heavily towards this thing being, in the right hands, an absolute game changer in a lot of matches. Not necessarily the entire World of Tanks universe. But I do understand, especially with some of the older players, TD players, people who like a slower, statelier pace. This thing has changed quite a bit the way the game is played on some matches, especially when it's a live late game. I'm enjoying it. I'm not certain that's the direction I want the entire game to go, so I'm on both sides of the fence on that one right now. I'm leaning towards it being a little OP based on its speed and its capability, but I'm also cognizant of the fact that it takes a pretty good player to leverage all that capability. But that's part of the description of OP. You don't want your very good players running around in tanks that give them every advantage that works for them, which is speed, mobility, an accurate gun, the ability to get in, get out, light people, all that kind of stuff. it's a good tank. It really is. Some lights can sort of do some of this. It's just that little extra 10, 15, 20 kilometers of speed and the ability to back out and go backwards immediately. And the last thing I'll say, that for me, the biggest thing about these tanks, the biggest advantage, and I have mentioned it over and over in my streams, and I whine about it constantly. I hate getting tracked because you're maneuvering, you're avoiding shots, you have a place you're going, you're going to shoot, you have a way to get out, you know what your route is, you have good map awareness, you understand the maps, but all that gets cut off the second you get tracked and you can't fix it. And even if you get tracked and fix it, you're so slow starting off, usually that's where you lose a bunch more hit points. That does not happen with these. They get slowed down, but more than likely you can still get away. That is a huge, huge advantage for any kind of aggressive player who likes to maneuver and move around the map and knows the maps. I can't tell you how many times I've got away from people chasing me. You get into the backfield, they all turn around and start chasing you. If it was another kind of light tank, you probably don't get away. If it's a medium and there's 3 or 4 chasing you, you definitely don't get away. This thing, you're probably getting away. All right, that's enough of the light tank stuff and my thoughts on it. The last thing I want to talk about on subjects du jour is directives. Directives, which is not something I've touched on much or dealt with or even used. One thing, I've been saving up my bonds. I don't want to use bonds on directives, but you can see I've got 10,000. In theory, there's going to be tanks coming up that you can buy for bonds. I don't know what they're going to be. We'll see. The Clan Wars thing used some bonds, so they're already kind of using them. But I'm talking about for the common man, the people who don't do Clan Wars. So this is the little slot, and you click on it. And you might find, you'd be surprised if you click on that and look and see how many bonds you actually have in your garage. I have a bunch of natural cover, although it doesn't show it when it's on there. You do have to highlight. I still have 21. I had 45. And I just put those on, and you click down here, auto resupply. So the auto resupply is not over here in service, and neither can you put your bonds on your tank in service. Why? I don't know why. It should be right there, but it's not. It has to be a separate click with its own mech. Anyway, you got the equipment kinds. You got the kind for crew, and then it tells you how many. You can see I've got 15 of these in my garage, and I don't get to know here. See how I can see there's 15, but I don't get to know unless I highlight, which is irritating, but I have 21. And then you click auto resupply. All right, what do they do? Well, all kinds of stuff. They make all your skills better, or the skills they apply to anyway. Look at this 45.46 concealment on this tank with that directive, with Brothers in Arms, camo, full camo on the crew, and vents. The only thing I do not have is food, because I hate being lit on fire. But let's see what happens if we add food. We got 45.46. Let's take this off and put food. Strong coffee. I'll just buy it just for giggles. 47.37. Holy cow, man. That is a stealthy, stealthy tank. And this really does help. So we're at 47.37. Let's see what happens if we take it off. 45.29. But that's with food. That's not what I run. So let's go ahead and put what I run right there. Back to my automatic fire extinguisher. And we're down to 43. But I put that directive back on. And we're at 45. Now, this game really is about small percentages. It really is. A 5%, a 3%, even a 2% addition to skills matters. It does. So this thing is up to 45. Could be up to 47 if I ran food. And that is one of the big things about helping this tank out, or any tank. So if you have a bunch of directives sitting around in your garage, I recommend, look at this. I got this focus on, so I got 65 of these, and firefighters. Hey, guess what? Don't like wasting a skill slot on firefighting? Then put some directives. Put some directives on there, and all of a sudden your crew has firefighting. Now realize, if you hit auto resupply, it does not stop when you run out of stuff in your garage. It would be nice if there was another button that says stop when you reach 0 from the depot. That would be cool, but that doesn't exist. So you do have to watch it a little bit, unless you want to start watching your bonds disappear, and those are hard to come by. Basically, I've spent no bonds on anything. I haven't even bought any advanced equipment. That's every bond I've earned since they came out. And because I don't do a lot of Clan Wars, it's not Clan Wars. What is the one that gets bonds? Oh, it was ranked battles. I didn't do a lot of ranked battles. I never got any chunks of bonds. So there's people out there who are sitting on quite a few bonds, actually. But anyway, where was I going with that? Right, since I didn't want to use bonds, but I wasn't paying attention to how many of these things I have. This one is pretty much useless. It gives you a designated target. But hey, might as well use it. Orderly ammo rack, that's a good one. You reload a little bit faster. I've got 14 of those sitting around. So anyway, I wanted to bring that up in case you hadn't really thought about it. It might be time for you to dig around in your depot and start using your bonds. Every little advantage, man. Let's move on. Well, that is it for Coffee Talk. It is 7:19. I'm done recording this. We talked about the stream and channel doing well at 1,000. I'll get back to the 100 Battles Challenge later on. The scavenger hunt's ongoing. Wheeled Marathon update. I'll let you know how I was doing. We talked about wheeled vehicles quite a bit. I'll get the winner of the M41 Delta out soon. TM. Talked about the Spearhead mission. Unskinned Scorp. Unskinned Corp. And then a little talk about directives after I yammered about wheeled vehicles for a while. Talked about how the EBR-90 is the second coming of somebody. All right, I'm down to the bottom of my coffee, and it is time to relax a little bit, maybe play some tanks instead of talk about some tanks, which is always good. Thanks for supporting the channel. Keep it up, guys. Send me in those replays. I do want to give one update, though. I had a fairly serious hack attack on all my stuff, so not really sure if what got out there, whether they were just clever about learning passwords or something. I had a lot of stuff that didn't have two-factor authentication on it. Guess what? Now all my stuff does. I was able to get most of the accounts and things back. I'm still, my daughter's Instagram's been hacked twice. I got to get that back. The point of all that is I will no longer be accepting files emailed to me, like replay files. The only place I'm going to get them is off the wattreplays.eu, just to minimize the possibility of malicious crap coming in. So I'll no longer be taking any of those. Apologies if you don't know how to do it. We can talk about it later. I'm not going to do it right here. It's not very hard. You got to turn on your, I'll talk about it anyway. You got to turn on your replays and then go to wattreplays.eu, sign in with your Wargaming account information, and then I think you can even drag and drop, but basically it's self-explanatory. You can upload them, send me the link, and then I will go to that site and get the replay. So apologies for that, but people are dirtbags, hackers, you know, it's, anyway, I don't go into it, how much I dislike people that do that. That is all that I've got. Have a good Sunday, and we will see you.